universe as banks as little asteroids floating around all over space. But then two massive bodies appear, and all of a sudden, one network comes over here, and one network comes over here, and it just continues pulling in networks, continue pulling in these asteroids. And as this continues to happen, they get bigger and faster. And that's exactly what's happening with Ripple and Canton Network. And I'm going to explain it here in a second, so bear with me. Let me get into the analogy because we do have news today. But when we look at what's been happening over the last couple weeks, everything's been setting up for this massive wave of news that we've been getting over the last few months. And we have to be careful with the news we're looking at today because happy April Fool's Day to everyone. I tried to sneak one in there subtly today on X, but they caught me. I couldn't even pull that off. So I was extremely subtle too, and it didn't happen. But so there's a lot of nonsense going on. So the news is a little thin because we're being extra cautious as to what's real and what's not real. But when we're talking about institutional gravity, if you look at what's happened in the past with payments, especially since we're talking about Ripple, if you look at Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, there's only a handful of payments cards. There's not 50, right? If you look at stores, right, you go to Walmart. There used to be a Kmart, but what other stores would you go to that are like a Walmart or Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards? There's usually a handful. There's not 50. The same thing applies to finance. All right. When it comes to payments, it's going to be one or two. Right now, Ripple's leading that charge. When it comes to institutional real world assets and settlement, it's the Canton Network, and we can see that happening. And with more news today, it just is getting even bigger. And I'm going to share that with you guys. So be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to engage in the chat. We're going to cover all the news today and what it means. And then we're going to have our live Q&A hangout session just like we always do. But without further ado, let's hop into the chat. Price is up today for Bitcoin, peaking back up to 69,000. XRP is up to $1.36, $1.37. Canton's hovering at 14.3. Again, it doesn't move with Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, it tends to go down, vice versa. Again, waiting for utility to continue to move this. That's what we watch for every day on XRP scan and Canton scan. However, Canton scan apparently was bugging and the burn to mint ratio is not updating correctly. At least that's what I was told. That being said, we will move on to the news because we do have major news, although I think a lot of people may have missed it. So the DTCC announced this today. It says just in, the DTCC launches rapid issuance, a game-changing service that expedites time to market for structured note securities, enabling issuers to complete closings within an hour of security submission. Read the press release. Don't worry, I did it for you. And I highlighted the one point that's worth mentioning. With the launch of rapid issuance, DTCC is reaffirming its ongoing commitment to delivering innovative, resilient, and client-centric solutions, Barthel continued. By digitizing and automating core processes, we are delivering greater speed, transparency, and efficiency to our clients and the broader market. So they're digitizing securities. Do we know of anyone else doing this? Do we know of anyone digitizing for the DTCC? As of right now, the only pilot program I know of that's supposed to start in the first half of this year is the Canton Network. And they work closely with BNY. So it doesn't say Canton Network, but I believe this is the pilot program for the DTCC going live starting today. That's what it appears to be, without directly mentioning anything. Next, Silvana says agents are coming to Canton. AI agents coming to Canton. We talked about that recently with the grant they did to, I can't remember what college, but it was like a $200,000 grant to build AI, agentic AI for Canton Network. JP Morgan wants to hit $10 billion per day on its native blockchain. JP Morgan's own Connexus blockchain currently processes around $5 billion worth of transactions per day, a figure it wants to grow to 10 billion. Why am I talking about Connexus? Well, Connexus is a validator on the Canton Network, and the JPM coin is also on the Canton Network. So I have a feeling this will affect Canton as well. Transact is now integrated with the Canton Network. This integration brings Transact's fiat connectivity infrastructure to wallets and applications building on the Canton Network. Canton is the institutional grade blockchain supporting more than 8 trillion in tokenized real world assets. It's purpose built for privacy, compliance, and capital market activity. Removing friction between traditional finance and on-chain infrastructure is a big part of our mission. So Transact now bringing fiat rails to Canton. And as you can see, I had my lovely little post there. Another one, because it just keeps getting bigger. Now, before we move on to the Ripple news, we have our other black hole we need to discuss that's launching some major news today. But before we get to our Ripple black hole, I want to touch on this because it kind of fits the bill for both. Fed Reserve repo usage jumps to 15.78 billion, up from 752 million. Think about that. 752 million the day before, and then it jumps to 15.78 billion. That's a massive swing. The day before, as 12 counterparties rushed for overnight liquidity. This usually signals short-term cash demand is rising, a sign that financial conditions may be tightening. And again, Broadridge handling repo on the Canton Network and liquidity being an issue is something that Ripple is primed to be able to take advantage of. And when we talk about Ripple Prime, we need to talk about Ripple Treasury. Introducing the first native on-chain capabilities in an enterprise treasury management system. Today, Ripple Treasury is adding digital asset accounts to Unified Treasury to give CFOs the ability to view, hold, receive, and manage both fiat and digital liquidity in their existing dashboard. No separate interface, no new workflows, and no need to navigate crypto on your own. Corporates, your starting point in digital assets is at blah, 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 blah. We can continue. Treasury.ripple. So basically, they're creating a very seamless user interface dashboard for these major players to where they can just seamlessly move around their liquidity, whether it be traditional, fiat, digital, or crypto. This is how finance is going to be shaped moving forward. The user experience is key. And because Ripple created that end-to-end stack with all of their infrastructure, they are literally set up to plug into all these major institutions to handle liquidity and moving their money around, payments, they'll be able to do everything from their Ripple dashboard. And that's exactly what they wanted to create. So right now it seems like they're focusing on user experience, which I think is genius. That's a massive step for Ripple. Japanese authorities have received an official explanation regarding the world's first zero-knowledge privacy transaction, and other country governments have already conducted proof-of-concept experiments using XRP. We intend to take some measures after closely observing how other countries introduce this technology. This will represent a major structural change. So, XRP did do its first ZKP transaction. Again, others have been doing their own proof of concept experiments using XRP. However, they're still kind of waiting to see what the structural change is going to be. How are other countries going to incorporate ZKPs or private blockchains, etc.? So, this is a major first step. They're testing on XRP. This is great, but they said they're waiting to see what other countries do first. So this is not decided yet, but it is a major step. Wells Fargo is working with us as part of a global group of banks to design our blockchain-based ledger for cross-border payments. Together, we are shaping the rails of future support, interoperability across forms of value today and tomorrow. Ripple will have a piece, but they are not using the XRP ledger fully. I think some of the business will just be captured independently by Ripple, and I think they will do some work with Swift. It'll be interoperable, but there's no way they're capturing all of Swift, in my opinion. Not financial advice. And again, nothing is ever financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. You should always do your own research. Investments into anything comes with the risk of loss, whether it's crypto or anything else. Breaking news, Iran's Pezeshkian signals willingness to end war if security guarantees are met. S&P 500 surged 2.5%. NASDAQ jumped 3.27, and the Dow soared 1,000 points on this news. And later, I don't have it pulled up here, but later, Trump came out and said that we'll be done in 2 to 3 weeks, and that if we don't need the Strait of Hormuz. If countries want their oil, go get it. That we've demolished Iran. They have no capabilities. If you want your oil, go get it. We don't need it. It's pretty much what he said. Interesting stance on the war, but honestly, if his sole intentions were to denuclearize Iran, then he had accomplished that mission by bombing the crap out of them. Not sure the end game. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but they have been devastated, and now he says we're about done. If you want your oil, go get it. I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But let's get into the chat. Hopefully you guys are chatting well today. That was actually pretty quick. So keep the chat rolling. It's going to be a more of a chat today because the news wasn't that much, and I covered it in about 13 minutes. Let me pull up the chat for you all here. Not that one. This one. Good morning, Raul. He was first in the house today. Kelly made it in the house today. And I saw what you said, Kelly. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. I saw what you said before you pulled it down. Daniel Green says, hello, everyone. Thank you for your work. You're very welcome, Daniel. Clint is back in the house today. Hello from Texas, Clint. All of these institutions coming on Canton, but starting to realize that doesn't mean a damn thing if they're not connected to burning CC. You're absolutely right. And again, a lot of testing is happening on Canton right now, but it does need to affect the burn ratio. You've all stated they took 10 years to come out, so they were fully ready. Doesn't look like CC part was ready. Well, it depends on how you're looking at it. I mean, the super validators just came on chain. The coin just went live not too long ago, and it started with 100 billion supply on a mint schedule, which they've already unlocked. I want to say over 40 billion, but the circulating supply is 38 billion. So it is winding itself down. It's not growing, but they're releasing 2.5 billion per year. From this point on, it's going to continue to grow. So the mint schedule is fixed, it's programmed, but yeah, you're right. We need more CC to be burned, and that's going to come with utility. And again, we're waiting on them to turn on the private subnets. We're waiting on some of these private tests to go live on the main net. It just all depends on how it plays out, but they have written into it that these subnets are going to start having burn, and that repo is going to start having burn. That stuff hasn't gone live yet, but they've had documents that they've put out there that shows the concepts that they're writing up on how the burn schedule is going to work on the subnets and with repo. And because there were certain people that were up in arms about Broadridge getting discounts on their fees, and I'm like, they helped build the damn network. Of course they're going to get discounts on their fees. So, I mean, things like that. So it is coming. You just have to, it's so early. I mean, the token hasn't even been live for 2 years, right? I think it came out in 2024. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me, but it's still really early to that game. And our angel in the house saying hello today. Raul wants to know where in Texas. He's from Georgetown, Texas. Okay. I was in Wichita Falls, Texas for 6 years. How many people do we have in the stream today? 39 and growing. I'll do a recap. Looks like people are still coming in. So let's do a recap of the news and what institutional gravity is here. So let me get right to the correct screen. And I'll try to do the story better this time. I actually have a story that I was working on, but I didn't want to sit there and read a script either. trying to keep it real for you all, but at the same time, want to keep it interesting. Let me pull this up here. So I want to get to this screen. Boom. Okay, that screen, pull this down and keep the chat going. I'm going to do a recap for everyone, and then we will get back into the live Q&A and the live hangout. But so if you came in late, hear me out on this. I want you to imagine a financial universe where traditional banks are just floating around like little lost asteroids all in space. But then two massive bodies appear, Ripple and Canton Network. And suddenly everything starts orbiting them. Everything gets faster. Everything gets sucked in closer. That's institutional gravity. And institutional gravity is essentially just a combination, if you will, of network effects plus social proof, right? It's just like Visa, MasterCard, and Discover and American Express. There's a handful of payment systems. There's not 20 or 50, okay? So as more companies move into this, that's called, actually, there's actually a scientific thing for it. Let me look at the definition here, okay? So there's actually a scientific tie to business when we're talking about institutional gravity. First, you have Metcalfe's law, which is value grows with the square of the users. So more value is brought into the network and established on the network by more users coming into the network. That's number one. And then you connect social proof with that, which I believe was Robert Cialdini, who created a social proof concept. Basically, if they're all doing it, then it must be safe or it must be smart. So the more networks that come into it business-wise create more value, and the more networks and larger players that jump into it create more social proof. That's why we're going to see more and more players coming to Ripple and coming to Canton Network as they have more and more institutional adoption. That's what we call institutional gravity. In a nutshell. So why am I bringing this up? Well, when we're talking about this, what's happened recently? Just in the last week on Canton Network, we've had Visa come on as a super validator, Layer 0 partnering, bridging out 165 additional blockchains. And then we've had, what was the other one? Oh yeah, Circle just was announced that they were going to be a super validator. That is institutional gravity. When we're talking about Ripple, we talked about them partnering with Western Union to expand cross-border payments. That's Convera, by the way, is Western Union. We discussed that yesterday, as well as the information that's coming today, as well as their bank charter on the doorstep. Again, there was rumors it was going live today. I'm not seeing that announcement anywhere. And it is April Fool's Day, so be careful with what you're reading out there because the shenanigans are running hot and heavy. But the news today, everything's up a little bit except for Canton Network. XRP's up to $1.36. It got as high as $1.37 just about. Bitcoin's up to 69,000. At least last I checked, just under 69,000. It's at 68,724. And Canton Network's starting to work its way up now at 14.4. But what is institutional gravity? Well, this was announced today and really didn't get a lot of attention. I don't think people might realize what exactly is happening here. But it says this just in. The DTCC launches Rapid Issuance, a game-changing service that expedites time-to-time market structure note securities, enabling issuers to complete closings within an hour of security submission. Read the press release. I did it for you. I got to the bottom here. It says, with the launch of Rapid Issuance, DTCC is reaffirming its ongoing commitment to delivering innovative, resilient, and client-centric solutions. Barthel continued, by digitizing and automating core processes, we are delivering greater speed, transparency, and efficiency to our clients and the broader market. What is the first pilot they were doing in order to, quote-unquote, digitize the DTCC for back-end settlement of their note securities? That was Canton Network. And again, that pilot was supposed to launch in the first half of 2026. Well, this is the first day of Q2 of 2026, and this has gone live. It does not directly mention Canton Network, but I'm connecting those dots considering we know where that pilot's beginning. Silvana comes out and says agents are coming to Canton. AI agents will soon be on the Canton Network. JP Morgan wants to hit 10 billion per day on its native blockchain. JP Morgan's own Connexus blockchain currently processes around $5 billion worth of transactions per day, a figure it wants to grow as much as 10 billion. It hopes that the recent signing of Mitsubishi will help drive that transaction growth. Connexus has so far processed more than 3 trillion worth of transactions. And again, note, Connexus is a validator on the Canton Network, and JPM Coin is launched on the Canton Network. Transact is now integrated with the Canton Network. This integration brings Transact's fiat connectivity infrastructure to wallets and applications building on the Canton Network. Canton is the institutional grade blockchain supporting more than 8 trillion in tokenized real-world assets, purpose-built for privacy, compliance, and capital markets activity. Removing friction between traditional finance and on-chain infrastructure is a big part of our mission. Read the full announcement. So they are bringing fiat on and off ramps to the Canton Network for institutions. Institutional gravity. Now, before I move into Ripple, Fed reverse repo usage jumps to 15.78 billion, up from 752 million the day before as 12 counterparties rushed for overnight liquidity. This usually signals short-term cash demand is rising, a sign that financial conditions may be tightening. And again, Broadridge is doing about 5 to 7% of repo transactions on the Canton Network. So as repo increases, so will Broadridge utility on the Canton Network. Introducing the first native on-chain capabilities and enterprise treasury management system. Today, Ripple Treasury is adding digital asset accounts and unified treasury to give CFOs the ability to view, hold, receive, and manage fiat and digital liquidity in their existing dashboard. No separate interface, no new workflows, and no need to navigate crypto on your own. Incorporate your starting point into digital assets at treasuryripple.com. That's an interesting way they worded that. But again, fiat on and off ramps, all from one access point. Sounds familiar on what these two things are both building, but again, different use cases. One is for payments, one is for institutional real world asset liquidity, essentially. From Japan, Japanese authorities have received an official explanation regarding the world's first ZKP transaction, and other countries' governments have already conducted proof of concept experiments using XRP. We intend to take some measures after closely observing how other countries introduce this technology. This will represent a major structural change. So the first ZKP transaction was completed using XRP, and Japan is looking at this moving forward. But again, they're waiting on the sidelines while they see what other countries do. Are they going to go the route of ZKP, or are they going to go the route of a private blockchain like Canton Network? Swift. Wells Fargo is working with us as part of a global group of banks to design our blockchain-based ledger for cross-border payments. Together we are shaping the rails of the future to support interoperability across all forms of value today and tomorrow. Again, they are working on their own independent blockchain, not using the XRP ledger. However, I do believe XRP ledger will have some interoperability with Swift, as well as I do believe that they will just leapfrog Swift and steal some of their business. Iran signals willingness to end the war if security guarantees are met. And on this news, the S&P surged 2.5%, Nasdaq jumped 3.25%, and Dow soared 1,000 points. And if you guys missed it, basically Trump came out and said we're going to be done in about 2 to 3 weeks. If you, speaking to other countries, if you want to go get your oil, go get it. We don't need the Strait of Hormuz. So he said, if you want to open the strait, go ahead and open it. We've decimated everything they have, and you're welcome. They're no longer a nuclear threat. That's pretty much Trump's stance on it, which I thought was interesting to say the least. But that's what we're looking at as far as what's going on with Iran in a nutshell. As far as your recap, that is the recap. Let's hop back into the chat. I hope you guys are talking. The stream has been going there. If I could talk, holy crap. Stream's been growing great. You guys have been awesome in the chat, and it just makes it a whole lot of fun. And I am going to be working with some other people soon, hopefully working on some stuff in the pipeline there as well to maybe get, a dual commentary type thing going on to bring you guys some more value. Sure, it's on me, but all times I kept listening to Yuval and Eric speak. They were throwing shade on other crypto for not being ready. They are not ready. Well, I mean, again, there was a little bit of that, but it's all a learning curve too. And to be fair, Canton got thrown a lot of shade at them from the get-go. They kind of got put on the defense to begin with, if you know what I'm saying. Not trying to defend either one of them, wrong or right, but I honestly, tell you the truth, I kind of like their attitude a little bit. Because the crypto bros got a little big in their britches, I feel like. SVJ says, good morning, Longview fam. With all the quantum security talk, do you know if Canton is quantum resistant? I've done a little digging into that. As far as I know, to this point, it is, but don't quote me on that. I haven't researched it enough to be confident. I haven't researched it enough to sit here and discuss it without notes. And I don't know if you guys know this. Like, when I'm sitting here doing this chat with you all, there's no notes, there's no nothing. I'm looking at the chat screen and I'm looking at the stream. So this is all off the cuff when we're doing the chat. But I don't really have enough research on quantum as far as Canton goes to give you the information on it. But that is something I'm going to be looking forward to soon. I probably missed some keyword buzzwords on YouTube by not discussing quantum to this point, but I probably should. So thanks for the call out on that, SVJ. Booker T. From a security standpoint, it makes sense not to have everything on one network. Absolutely agreed. And that's the cool thing about Canton, is that it's not all one network anyway. It's a network of networks. But agreed, I don't think one chain is going to take over everything. I never thought it was going to be a one chain rule them all scenario. This isn't Lord of the Rings, okay? Not Mordor is not coming. There's going to be several blockchains that are going to win in different areas of crypto. Payments, institutional collateral, like all kinds of things. Tokenization. It's going to be security, privacy. There's going to be more than one winner. Like XRP. XRP is working on their quantum safe, that's for sure. Raul says, oh, he's from Dallas, yep. Clint, it's all just competition. It comes down to who the institutions decide to go with. Absolutely. And as one, and that's kind of the idea of institutional gravity. As one makes a choice, it makes that choice stronger for other institutions based on both, the growing network and the social proof. CC is leaning on retail's dime, not a good look. I don't think CC is leaning on retail's dime. There's no purchase volume on it. It's hard to say that they're leaning on retail's dime when there's less than $10 to $15 million of trading volume per day on CC. Like, it's not being actively traded. There's like almost no volume on it. So that's why I can't agree with that statement that it's leaning on retail's dime. Yes, we need some research on quantum if it's good to invest in. Okay. Well, I'll probably be doing some research on quantum and how it plays into the crypto layer. As I'm looking at it, I think that's the way I'm going to approach it, and how to address it as maybe another infrastructure pillar moving forward. It might take up my fifth pillar since I removed Ondo if I find a good quantum solution or a good quantum investment in crypto. DTCC chose Corda for its internal ledger, but its patents cross-ledger liquidity, explicitly mentioned XRP, XRPL as the bridge token. Today, Canton handles tokenized US Treasury bonds and Corda. Okay. But yeah, they mentioned they mentioned XRP. They also mentioned XLM, but they didn't mention they were using it. They mentioned that they could use items like XRP and XLM. I haven't seen an announced pilot for XRP Ledger yet for the DTCC. I've seen an announced pilot for the DTCC with the Canton Network. So I'd like to see that document if you can find it. Started adding Hyperliquid to the portfolio alongside Canton, great moneymaker, and they just got added to the S&P 500. Hyperliquid's been doing great. Don't get me wrong, I feel like I almost missed that train, but I'm not invested in Hyperliquid. I have done some research in it. I know they're partnered with Ripple as well, as far as Ripple Prime, bringing in the, oil, gold, and silver perpetuals and stuff like that. Our Angel handles stocks, but when DTCC needs to connect these private ledgers to the world, their architecture already treats XRP like liquidity. Well, and that's the thing, is that I'm being honest here. Canton's been developing on and off ramp liquidity rails for their network as well. They do offer settlement. I think that's something that a lot of people maybe don't believe or don't understand about Canton Network, is that they do offer institutional grade settlement of assets. So they do have liquidity. I mean, Circle just became a super validator, and they have access to Circle on there as well as all the tokenized, stocks, treasuries, all the backend settlements being tokenized. We'll have to pull up. Maybe we need to refresh the DTCC pilot for everyone. Learning, not leaning. Okay, that makes more sense. Price is correlated by burn rates more than on-chain market trading. Absolutely. The price is more directly correlated to the burn rates. There's no trading volume for the Canton coin. I watched the CEO of Paul Barron. I thought he was kind of an a-hole. He's not going to sell a lot of Canton with his attitude. He's not going to sell a lot of Canton to retail. And I think that's the point. And he was kind of an a-hole to Paul Barron. I watched that too. That was Yuval Ruse. He was kind of an asshole to Paul Barron, but at the same time, Paul Barron was completely unprepared and was throwing out non-factual statements as if they were truth. I watched that too. And when the interview starts out with, you have 13 super validators, and I know they have over 40. And a quick Google search can give you that information. He was not prepared. And when he said that DTCC paused trading on the whole GameStop thing, no, Robinhood paused trading. You can Google search that. So, he was trying to throw shade at Paul was trying to throw shade at the DTCC using unfactual, off the cuff statements, and was completely unresearched and unprepared. So, statements like you're not an open blockchain if you don't have a meme coin. I can see why Yuval maybe became a little bit of an asshole in that interview, to say the least, I guess. Is Ondo still an investment, or should we sell? I believe it's still an investment. I have not sold mine. I'm just not buying anymore. I've put it aside. It's in my moon bag. And again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's what I'm doing. I've just put it aside. I'm not adding to it anymore. I want to see some appreciation of the token. I want to see some tokenomics at work before I add more to my Ondo. Now that crypto has branched out more, and we're seeing what's adopted, how it's adopted, and how tokenomics work on different chains, I'm starting to gauge more, how is it going to appreciate? Show me the money. And I'm no longer just relying on it's going to appreciate as the blockchain gets adopted. And Ondo does not have clear tokenomics on how it's going to appreciate. I do believe it's still a major player in tokenization, but I don't know how the token's going to appreciate from there. So I'm just holding what I have. I'm no longer adding to it. It's Coming 589 says, didn't David Schwartz say for XRP to run at optimum, it would need to be at 100K? Wouldn't it make many years to, or wouldn't it take many years to reach that price? He said something along the lines that, I believe the statement was, it cannot be dirt cheap. It works better at 10K than it does at $1, just because of the sheer amount of transactions that would need to be completed in order to cross that value. And at this point in time, and I am an XRP holder, you all know this, but I'm going to ask this question. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in this point in time? If XRP is designed in optimum to run at 10K versus $1 or $2, is it optimally positioned to provide a liquidity bridge moving forward? If that's the truth, or are there better options to provide liquidity than XRP? Does that help or hurt the case for XRP to appreciate? Just food for thought. I think that's a very simple question to ask in regards to that. Again, not getting rid of my XRP, but I have to ask the question both ways. What's your thoughts on Linea since Swift is using them? Again, I read the announcement from Swift, and Swift said they are building their own blockchain on Hyperledger EVM. They're building their own EVM blockchain using Hyperledger Besu. That's the only thoughts I have. I didn't see anything about Linea. I think Linea may have been mentioned before. They may have some kind of connection to Hyperledger Besu or Besa, whichever one it is. But I'm not sure which. I prepare a huge buy at the end of this month, but unfortunately can't buy CC from nowhere. Oh, I mean, Canton's available on Robinhood, Uphold, Kraken, Caleb and Brown. It's available in all those places. Again, not financial advice, not telling anyone to buy anything, and never will. But it is available on multiple brokerages and multiple exchanges. That was the word I was looking for, is exchanges. Converted all my Ondo to Canton. Okay, Michael Watson. Hey, I will always be honest with you guys. I'm no FUD, no fuss, no muss, no lying. I'll be honest with you. I'm a retail investor just like you guys are. I just research it every day. And when the dots start not connecting, we have to ask the hard questions. Can you touch on RLUSD again, please? I guess I'm not understanding how it's not devaluing XRP. It seems like Ripple is pivoting away from XRP, but I may be misunderstanding the use cases. Okay, so RLUSD is the flywheel. And here's the thing. Everyone transacts in US dollars. That's not going to go away. The US dollar is the world currency right now, right? That's why everything is compared to the US dollar. Stable coins or bank deposits are going to be in US dollar. But when you're doing cross-border payments, you're going to have to switch back and forth. And to have a blockchain dollar, you're going to need to have a stable coin. You're going to need to have a blockchain dollar to switch back and forth between. So that now the bridge currency is supposed to be XRP. And it is their delegated bridge currency. It's the default bridge currency. They've announced that. But here's the thing. When you're doing transactions in stablecoins, if it's stablecoin to stablecoin, US dollar to US dollar, you don't need to bridge any liquidity. You don't need to switch it out for anything. You don't need to provide any kind of liquidity bridge. It just goes. It's like moving things in a spreadsheet, right? It's just moving boxes in an Excel spreadsheet when it comes to just moving USD to USD from one place to another on blockchain. Now, when you start need to switching between things, when you start getting other currencies, if someone wants to come in with an RL yen or an RL euro or an RL whatever Australia is called. I'm sorry for any Aussies in here. I don't know what it's called, but I know you guys just said you're going to be doing your stable coin on the XRP ledger. So if you get an RL yen and RL yuan and RL euro and RL pound, and you start having to convert between all of these currencies, number one, you have to have something to convert to in dollars. So they have RLUSD. Number two, you have to have a liquidity bridge to provide that liquidity. And that's what XRP is supposed to be. So originally, that was the design. They've come in with a lot more DeFi options since then, but it hasn't been able to function as a liquidity bridge. And that's why a lot of people were talking about, because in order for XRP to provide that liquidity bridge, it works better with a higher price because it requires less transactions, but they have to get it to that higher price. Booker T says, we are in the middle of the crypto Hunger Games. That's an excellent way to put it. Yeah, they're slitting each other's throats to see who's going to be the victor. Soul Jeff says, Swift is building on Linea. Again, I haven't seen that. I'll have to do more research on that. It's available, but not from Bulgaria. I can't. Oh, that sucks, R Angel. I'm sorry. That sucks. The main thing is liquidity, but most liquidity is stuck within ETH, which is why most networks have to connect to ETH chain using EVMs, trying to suck some of that liquidity out of their chain. Right. Well, and that's where Zenith comes into play as a validator on Canton Network and building their EVM sidechain to connect developers to Ethereum. So they have their EVM sidechain connection to Ethereum, as well as they now have stablecoins. Clint converted all his Ondo to XRP. Okay. Pitt says, guys, in no universe is XRP going to be 10K. Please be realistic with investments. They are not scratch-off lottery tickets. I have discussed the crypto lottery several times, and again, this channel is about investing in crypto for the long view. What crypto is going to be over the next 5 to 10 years. Mathematically, is 10,000 XRP possible? Yes. Is it realistic? Probably not. Is it probable? No. We know this. So is it mathematically possible? Yes. I will say everything is possible, but I'm not expecting a 10,000 XRP, and if it were to happen, I would love to be wrong. Because I'll sit on my stack of crypto eating my humble pie. Dustin says, I like Yuval and Eric being spicy. They just gave off the idea that everything was dialed in. I sold a lot of my Zebek to go heavy on CC. Now Zebek up, I've lost out on 40K. That's my fault. Well, and that's why we don't trade with emotions, right? I looked at CC for a solid month and a half before I bought any. And even when I did make my first purchase, I didn't jump all in on it. Then as more stuff came out, then I started accumulating faster to build up my stack. But we got to keep emotions. That's why the process is important, right? Dollar cost averaging is the way to DCA. This is the way. And that works out for both going into the market and out of the market. Don't forget, when you start selling things, dollar cost average out too. It works both ways. We just need the market to stop trading sideways and go up and to the right. That would be nice. We need a wait. That'd be this way over here. Yeah, we need a dab of the market, right? Up and to the right. Hopefully that shows up as up and to the right on your screens because it's mirrored for me. You can use a VPN to get Canton. Well, there you go. Not financial advice, but apparently you can get a VPN on your computer and then log into those sites. They won't be able to tell where you're logging in from, and you can get Canton that way. Not financial advice, but that is a way to get around some of that stuff, is to use a VPN. We landed on the moon. Lloyd Christmas. Happy April Fool's Day to everybody. I like Zebek. I like Zebek too. I don't own any of it, full disclosure. I don't own any Zebek. But I think it's a great project. They have great connections, they have great adoption, they have a great use case. I'm waiting to see what happens in the retail payment section. I'm waiting to find out what happens with the Clarity Act first and what's going to happen with the banks, stablecoins, tokenized deposits, and how all of that's going to shake out before I get involved in the retail payment side of things. I'm trying to focus more on the tokenization wave at this point and institutional adoption. I think when it comes to finance and institutional adoption, it's going to follow this tokenization wave that we're on right now. And then it'll start moving into the retail portion of it. So that's what I've been focused on, at least for me. R Angel, do you have access to Kraken eToro from Bulgaria? I believe both sell CC or IBKR platform. I know it's available from outside the US for sure. There's places, I just don't know about Bulgaria. Every country is different, but a VPN should still fix that issue. You can get a VPN for free. But that's all of the news, everyone. Let's see how many people are in the stream. See if we can keep chatting here. Let me take a look. Up to 57 today. What do you guys think? Any thoughts, comments, concerns? It's April Fool's Day. You know, I almost did this for April Fool's Day. We got a little extra time, so if anyone makes it to the end, they'll get a little bonus. Let me see here. Because I almost did this for April Fool's Day, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it because it was too silly. Maybe I'll finish it up for the second half here. Let's see here. JLS Goshen. What's going on? That's a new name. Where are you from? And what is your favorite crypto? Welcome to the Longview crew. And if you guys are new to the stream, we stream every single day, Monday through Saturday at noon. We cover everything crypto. My personal holdings are XRP, Canton Network, Chainlink, HBAR, and Ondo. And the goal is to invest for the long view over the next 10 years, 10% of my income for 10 years of my life. And if you guys want to help out the channel, please do. I could use a better head of hair. That's for damn sure. But anything that comes to the channel, honestly, whether it's memberships, whether it's super chats, whether it's ad revenue, everything goes to growing the stream and growing the community, because ultimately that's what this channel is about. It's about growing the community. Now, let's see here. Can you buy CC from within the niche wallets? I don't know. I haven't tried. I have not looked into that yet. Gunpowder made his appearance. He's in the house. I got you all laughing a little bit, so that's good. A VPN won't help when it's a platform reserved for U.S. citizens since they do KYC. I got you. Okay. XRP, bro. New York been lurking a long time. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Again, I hold plenty of XRP. I still buy it every month. I have not changed. It holds a #1 spot as far as the weight goes in my crypto bag, right there next to my Canton Network. I am in it for the long view. And again, today is Wednesday, members only live stream tonight, or members only hangout. If you guys are new, we do a members only live stream every single Wednesday, and we do it in a form of a Google Hangout, and we all just have a conversation and talk about crypto, talk about the direction of the channel, talk about anything really going on that we want. Of course, no financial advice. There's no active trades or anything like that going on when we do it. But it's a more close-knit connection, I guess, if you will, than just the regular stream. And it's a lot easier to have conversations in a Google Hangout room as opposed to through a chat, because sometimes this chat has like a full 1 to 2 minute delay. It's pretty ridiculous. It's my bad toupee from Halloween. I went as Prince Charming for Halloween, so this was my hair. I do remember when Ripple tried to buy Circle. That was a big rumor going along for a long time. Growing the community the same as your hair. Growing it that fast, huh? I'll tell you what, if I get 100 subscribers from this video, then my hair is definitely not growing faster than the channel. How about that? Have Decent and Tangent got cans on yet? Not yet. It was just announced that Wallet Connect was coming soon yesterday. I don't know when that's going to be though. Looking 10 years younger with the bad hair. What's that one guy's name? Oh gosh. It had the bad toupee. Oh. Not George Carlin. But gosh, he's a Hispanic. I can't remember his name. How much is the membership? It's $7.99, and honestly, my first 100 members, their price will never change. They become founding members, so anything that gets added on later, that $7.99 covers anything. So that's my treat, if you will, or my incentive to all of my people who have helped me grow the stream from the beginning. If you become a member, you will never have to pay more for anything that comes out for the rest of the existence of Longview Compute, which I'm into this channel for the long view as well, for what it's going to be over the next 5 to 10 years also. I don't plan on going anywhere. I would love to join tomorrow, but for me, it's like 2 or 3 a.m. I got you. And it's hard because I know people are all over the place, and who knows, maybe as I continue to grow it out, maybe I'll offer a second members only live stream that is on the weekend at a different time to try and help people all around the world as well to get in touch to that. Happy Passover, and it is Passover. It's going to be Good Friday starting on Friday, obviously. Happy Easter weekend to all of you. I am a formerly renounced Catholic. I was excommunicated at 13 years old, but I do believe in God, but I do not believe in Catholicism or that religion for those of you who care. Happy birthday tomorrow, Scott. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. It is my birthday tomorrow, turning 42 tomorrow. Invest in Rogaine. No, you know, honestly, I'm not mad at it. I've been bald. I started going bald. When I was 18 years old. No joke. By the time I was 21, my hairline was no longer receding. It was in full-on retreat, and it was gone. So when I joined the military, I just shaved it, and I've kept it shaved for ever since then. So I've had a shaved head now for over 20 years. And honestly, I have the head for it, and I have the facial hair for it that I can pull off the bald head. Bald is beautiful. I have no desire to try and get Rogaine or regrow my hair. I know they have stuff now to where I could regrow my hair. My girlfriend's actually mentioned it to me, and I'm like, why? Bald is beautiful, baby. I love my bald head. I don't have to pay for haircuts. It looks good on me, I think. I'm good with it. Nacho Libre. That was a good one. That's a good one. Happy Easter as well. Love what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Miss the live often, but watch it later all the time. Hair looks good. Well, I'm glad you were able to catch the live today. Thank you for joining. I think the name looks familiar. I don't know if I've seen it in a live before. Maybe it's from a comment, but it looks familiar to me, JLS. Happy birthday. Thank you, Yeshua. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, that's everything I have for today. I will be back tomorrow at noon. Hopefully we get some big news to make it a fun stream. And if you guys, actually, here's a challenge, okay? We don't have to put it in the chat, but you can put it on, if you can, hop out and put it in the comment after the stream is over. You guys have any ideas for maybe like a weekly fun show we could do, maybe on the Saturday stream? Since there's not really a ton of news, we kind of recap what happens over the week on Saturday, but I'm trying to think of some fun ideas we can do to have a show. We could even just do a research and hangout session like we did before that one night on Sunday night. That grew, and people really seem to enjoy that as well. I really enjoy hanging out with the community and doing the chats and the lives, and I love seeing how this is growing and developing. I think this community is going to be absolutely freaking amazing. And I can't wait to see what it's going to be Gosh, imagine what it's going to turn into 5 years from now, especially as crypto booms and grows. I doubt it'll get to the point where I won't be able to talk to every single chat like I am right now, and that would be great. Go fishing on the show. I was thinking about golf, actually. I was thinking about taking y'all golfing one time, but maybe for a couple holes. Do you do any technical analysis? I do a little bit of technical analysis. It's mainly like pattern recognition and stuff like that. Basic resistances and supports, RSI, stuff like that. I don't do like really hardcore technical analysis, but actually, funny story. I was talking to someone recently who does a YouTube channel and reached out to him on X, and I was in his stream, like I was in his stream as a viewer, as an observer, like you guys are, and was chatting with him. And he checked out the channel, and I think we're gonna do some work together. And he does a lot of chart analysis, which I thought was excellent. It gives him the opportunity to shine on what he does, and gives me the opportunity to shine on what I do, as far as delivering the narrative and seeing, reading the tea leaves. And he can pull up the more technical analysis data. So hopefully I'll be doing that soon. I'm trying to orchestrate something where I can collaborate with people, because I think it will bring more value to both my channel and their channel as we have that back and forth open discussion. Who has a birthday? I do. Tomorrow is my birthday. Scott Day is tomorrow. Show us how to day trade. I mean, if you want, one day I'll show you guys how to do a scalping session. I can take a look at that. That was what I traded the most. If I was going to show anything, and again, not financial advice, but if I was going to show anything, to teach anything as far as day trading, it would be the 15-minute scalp, and it'll be the 15-minute scalp, because that's what I traded literally every morning. I love that play. It was very consistent for me. So if I were to day trade, I would show that one. Let's see here. Highly bless Earth strong. Okay. Cordell Lewis, tell us about Caleb and Brown. What if bankruptcy? What if anyone goes bankrupt? What? Oh, you want to see it right now, Raul? You want to see it right now, as far as the 15-minute scalp? I mean, I can map it out real quick. All right. I know you don't do hopium, but this is Resurrection Week. Better days ahead of us. I have hopium for the next 5 to 10 years of where crypto is going to be. And honestly, because of that, that's how I can come out here and be happy about the prices. Like the fact I have been able to accumulate as much as I have at this bottom. Oh my God, I am stoked. Trust me, because I positioned myself into a foundation of strength to where I had a lot of capital to where I could deploy things everywhere. Who pulled their assets off of Coinbase? I've never had my assets on Coinbase. I do not like Coinbase. I have a little bit on Robinhood. I have some in Caleb and Brown, and the rest of it is in institutional cold storage. But I'm actually working on my own wallet. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I'm working with a developer, so a lot of stuff can go wrong. But I'm working with my own developer to build my own wallet on the Canton Network. So I thought that'd be pretty cool to actually be able to store my Canton in my own Canton wallet on the Canton Network. And then it would, of course, everyone else would have access to it as well. It would be like a traditional warm wallet that you would do, like Trust Wallet or Base or any of those. But it would be through Canton. It wouldn't be a cold wallet. But that's me. It's something I'm doing for fun. Because I want to be involved in the network. Now, some of you, I believe, were asking for day trading information. I can do that real quick. I can show you the 15-minute scalp. It's called the 15-minute scalp for a reason. I can probably explain it to you in less than 10 minutes. So let me see who all is in the chat here. And again, hit the like button to help grow the stream. I appreciate everyone being here, but the like button and chatting, engaging in the chat, lets everyone know that we got the goods here at the Long View, so that we want to make sure we get more people in and grow the community. Let me pull this up here. Pull up the correct things so I can show you. Come on, computer, work with me. All right. So let me go to AMD, because AMD was the one I did the most because it had the most volatility at the beginning of the day. So let me go 15-minute candle. Yes. All right. So when we go to the open, today is not going to be a good day to explain it, because today would have lost. And there's, again, volatility is key. But I'll show you today because, again, no hopium. But the 15-minute scalp is this first 15-minute candle of the open every day. Open is at 8:30. So we can see this candle right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box. Come on, where's my box? There it is. I'm going to draw a box from the top of this wick to the bottom of this wick. Now, I don't know which way this moved. I'm going to assume it moved down to start. Actually, I can tell by the wick it moved down to start. So, the 15-minute candle is the manipulation candle. If you take the top of this candle to the bottom of this candle, so that's $5. You want to look at the estimated moving average for the day on what the actual daily moving average is. The daily moving average, thank you. What the estimated daily moving average is for the particular stock that you're trading. So daily moving average would be how many dollars it moves up or down from its start to its finish throughout the day. And so you can find that. Usually they have it listed somewhere, but you can do a quick Google search if you want. What is the daily moving average of AMD? What is the daily moving average of AMD? So quick Google, 195 to 201. So the daily moving average right now, let's see here. Well, that's 200. So we want the daily. As of April 2026, Advanced Micro Devices AMD stock is trading at $200 to $210 range, with the key moving averages showing a mixed technical picture. Recent data indicates the 50-day is a $2 range, while the 200-day close to a $6 range, suggesting long-term upward trend despite recent short-term pressure. So recently, the moving average has been $2. So a manipulation candle is defined by anything that's more than 20% of the moving average. So if we're looking at this, and the moving average is a 2, and it's doing an average of 5 per day, that's over doubling the moving average. So you would want to bet against the manipulation candle. So if this broke to the downside to start, that's the manipulation. So that tells us it's setting up, it's gaining liquidity to go up. And then usually it will reverse back to the mean. So in this particular situation, if I was looking at this trade, I'd be looking at this. I would wait for the 15-minute candle to close, and then I would wait for it to pull back to the median. So it closed, it continued going up, and then it continued to pull back. I would have bet on the upside personally. If I was looking at this as a trade, I would have bet on the upside when it tapped EMA 9, and then I would have taken my profit when it tapped the top of this box. I would have missed out on some profit, but I would have won off this move right here, from here to here. And then I would set my stop down here below EMA. So that's how you trade the manipulation candle. You look at the moving averages of the stock. You look at the first 15-minute candle. You see how big of a move it is and which way it went. And again, you can see these stops out, these manipulations right here, these wicks stopping out all the low liquidity before the market open. That usually indicates a move to the upsides coming. So you can look at all of these things. There's so many factors. Again, with technical analysis, you can tell yourself any story that you want. But that's why when I was day trading, and again, not financial advice, but that's why when I was day trading, I stuck to one method. I found one that worked for me, and that's what I stuck to. And it was the 15-minute manipulation candle. So, and again, you have to watch it happen in real time to see what way it's moving. But the basic premise is this candle, if it is larger than what it typically moves for a day, then it's going to try to pull its way back to that average. And it works a lot. It works a lot. But that's my opinion, not financial advice. So there's a brief crash course on how to trade the 15-minute manipulation candle at the open of the stock market. Let's see if you guys kept chatting. Let me see. Few of them in here. Raul's still here. Gotta run now. Talk to you guys soon. Please like and subscribe. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Are you insured if Caleb and Brown go bankrupt is the question. I did not buy personal insurance, but here's the thing is I'm in institutional custody through Fireblocks with Caleb and Brown. So if Caleb and Brown goes bankrupt, my crypto is in institutional custody with Fireblocks. But I'm going to look more into that. You raise a good question. Because if my crypto is at risk, if Caleb and Brown were to go bankrupt, then I would be in no different position than if it were an exchange. Good info. Looking forward to the future channel growth. I appreciate that, SVJ. All right, guys, that is everything I have for you today. I appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to take off, but I will see you all tomorrow.